I believe that his ceiling is Kobe Bryant, to be honest with you. A.J. DeBouncer, he's going to have a Hall of Fame career. They had to go with A.J. DeBouncer. His confidence and his fit. The Washington Wizards are going to make the playoffs next season.
3 years ago, the Wizards did something scary on purpose. They blew the whole team up. They traded away Bradley Beal. They said goodbye to winning for a while. And then they got ugly fast. 67 losses, 64 losses, 65 losses, 3 brutal years in a row. Washington became a team nobody talked about. But then something wild happened. Most teams take forever to even make the playoffs once after a rebuild. Washington skipped that step. They walked into the 2026-27 season with Trae Young, Anthony Davis, and the #1 pick, A.J. DeBouncer.
Gets the switch from Powell. Drives on Powell! Oh! Air! A.J. takes off!
A year ago, this team was just potential, just hope. Now people expect things. And here's the real question. It's not how they did this, it's whether it actually works. We've seen this movie before. Big names, big talent, then nothing happens. So how did Washington go from the worst team in the league to a team people are buzzing about? And can these pieces really click together? To get why this turnaround feels so huge, you need to know how hard the Wizards committed to losing. Teams rebuild all the time in the NBA. That's normal. But what Washington did back in 2023 wasn't normal at all. It was one of the most extreme teardowns anyone had seen in years. The plan was simple. Lose on purpose. Stack up draft picks, grow the young guys, and wait for that one franchise-changing star to show up. 3 years later, that moment finally came. But getting there meant sitting at the bottom for a long time. And honestly, the Wizards weren't great before the rebuild either. Their last winning season was way back in 2017-18. After that, they were stuck in the worst spot a team can be in. Not good enough to win anything, not bad enough to get a superstar in the draft. 34 wins 1 year, 35 the next 2 years, stuck in the mud, going nowhere. So when Michael Winger and Will Dawkins took over in 2023, they came in with a totally different plan. Winger called it the deconstruction phase. And that's exactly what they did. They shipped out almost every veteran with any trade value. Bradley Beal went to Phoenix for future picks. Kristaps Porzingis went to Boston. The roster got stripped down to nothing. Winning wasn't the goal anymore. And the losing, it went exactly how you'd think. 67 losses in 2023-24, worst record in the league. But to the front office, every single loss had a purpose. Championship teams are built around superstars. Washington didn't have one. So they bet everything on the draft to find one. That bet brought them Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, and Kaishan George in 2024. Good young players, pieces that fit the long-term plan. But here's the problem. That draft class didn't have a true franchise changer at the top. Washington had pieces, they still needed their guy. The next year, they stayed patient. Some moves only made sense years down the road. They brought in veterans like Malcolm Brogdon and Jonas Valanciunas, just to flip them later for more picks. Karl Anthony Towns, gone, for Chris Middleton and more draft capital.
Swinging it over to Carrington, bounce past the Sarr. Alex inside. Nice.
Valanciunas flipped again. Washington kept building flexibility instead of chasing wins. The result? Another rough season. 64 losses. Bottom of the league again. They walked into the 2025 draft hoping for their franchise guy. He never showed up. The lottery cost them a shot at Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper. They couldn't even climb high enough for Ace Bailey. Instead, they picked up Trey Johnson and Will Riley. More young talent, more pieces. For the first time since the rebuild started, you could actually see the foundation forming. More trades followed. Jordan Poole, Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, all moved out. Cam Whitmore came in. Washington kept protecting their cap space like gold. By summer 2025, they had quietly built one of the youngest, most exciting young cores in basketball. Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, Kaishan George, Bub Carrington, Trey Johnson, Will Riley. But the problem stuck around. Lots of promising young players, still no superstar to build around. One more shot at the lottery was coming. So for a third straight year, Washington tanked hard. 65 losses in 2025-26. Bottom of the league again. But rebuilds can't last forever. Eventually, all those picks and all that flexibility have to turn into something real. Every rebuilding team hits this same fork in the road. Stop counting assets, start using them. After 3 years of losing, Washington had arrived at exactly that moment. A young core, a pile of assets, good lottery odds again, right on schedule. And then, before the lottery even happened, Washington shocked everyone. They showed the league things were about to change. For 3 years, Washington ran the same clean blueprint. Stack assets, develop the kids, stay flexible. Every move tied to the bigger plan. Then suddenly, they traded for Trae Young and Anthony Davis. On paper, it barely made sense. Rebuilding teams don't usually chase veterans like this. They get younger, not older. But every rebuild has the same trap: timing. Move too slow, your young guys stall out. Move too fast, you blow your draft position. That's exactly why these trades shocked people. Washington was deep in a tank job, coming off 64 losses, with no clear franchise star locked in. And instead of waiting, they pushed their chips to the table. At first, it looked rushed, but there's another way to see it. Young and Davis didn't fit the textbook rebuild timeline, but grabbing star talent when their value is at rock bottom, that's almost never a bad move. And Washington didn't give up their young core or their draft capital to do it. They just added 2 proven vets the league had given up on. The Trae Young trade was the most interesting one. Washington had needed a real point guard for years. Then a 4-time All-Star fell right into their lap. And the wild part? Look at how little it cost them. Corey Kispert and an expiring CJ McCollum contract. That's it. For a rebuilding team, a window like that almost never opens. People forget how good Young actually is. League leader in assists 3 times, 25 points and 9 assists in 5 different seasons. He even dragged Atlanta to 3 playoff runs. His best moment came in 2021, when he became one of the most electric playoff stars in years, knocking off the Knicks, upsetting the top-seeded Sixers, and carrying the Hawks all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Sure, there are real concerns. He's never been a strong defender. Durability has been shaky. And as a smaller guard who needs the ball, there's always a question of how far he can carry a team alone. That's exactly why the Washington fit makes sense. They're not making him the lone hero. They want him running the offense, organizing everything, lifting his teammates up. Not many guards in the league do that better. And the front office showed they're serious. This offseason, they locked Young up on a 4-year extension worth more than $200 million. That's not a stopgap move. That's a real commitment. Anthony Davis tells a similar story. Just like with Young, Washington landed a superstar without touching their core assets or their draft picks. They added one of the most accomplished players of his generation and kept every bit of flexibility. This move also showed something new. For years, every move was about the future. Trading for Davis was the first sign Washington cared about right now, too. Even with the health concerns, the appeal is obvious. When healthy, Davis is still one of the most dominant defenders alive. Last season, he put up over 20 points and 11 rebounds a night, while anchoring the paint and switching across positions. Not many players bend a game defensively like he does. But the risk is real too. Davis has missed serious time throughout his career. There's no guarantee his body holds up all season. But when he's out there, he's one of the few players alive who can dominate both ends at an all-NBA level. And Washington got him without sacrificing their future. That's what makes their whole situation so interesting. Trading for Young and Davis was a gamble, no doubt, but you can see exactly why they took the risk. Washington already had the young talent. Now they had real veteran leadership too. Not many duos in this league are built better to support a young roster. And here's the most underrated part of the whole plan: timing. Getting these two mattered, but getting them right as the rebuild was about to turn the corner, that's what really set the table. Which brings us back to timing. For 3 years, Washington set everything up for this exact moment. The lottery just never cooperated. In 2023, they were 1 bounce away from Victor Wembanyama. In 2024, they landed pick 2 in a class with no true superstar at the top. In 2025, after another brutal season, they slid all the way to 6th and watched Cooper Flagg go somewhere else. It was a brutal pattern. Every great team eventually builds around a superstar. The Spurs have Wemby, the Celtics have Jason Tatum, the Warriors have Steph Curry, the Lakers have Luka Doncic. Washington had a great young core and still no single guy to build around. Heading into the 2026 lottery, there was no guarantee this changed. With flattened odds and the league cracking down on tanking, there was a real chance Washington's last shot ended just like all the others before it. Then, for the first time in this entire rebuild, the ball finally bounced their way. Washington won the 2026 draft lottery, and just like that, those Young and Davis trades suddenly made perfect sense. What looked rushed before now looked like preparation. Washington built the foundation. Now they had the chance to drop the missing piece right on top of it. But winning the lottery is only half the battle. NBA history is full of teams that landed the top pick and still blew it. Some took the wrong guy, some put the right guy in the wrong situation. Washington had to avoid both traps. On draft night, they made their choice. With the first overall pick in the 2026 draft, the Wizards selected AJ Dybantsa, and right away, he gives them something this roster never had: a true #1 scorer. At BYU, he averaged 25.5 points a game, the highest in all of Division I. Add in almost 7 rebounds and 4 assists a night, and you've got one of the most hyped prospects in years. What makes him special isn't one skill, it's how many ways he can score. He bullies his way to the rim, he creates space with footwork, he shoots from all 3 levels. At 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan, he's got the body every team dreams about, and his feel for the game keeps him involved even without the ball. So there's no debate about what Washington hopes he becomes: the face of the franchise, the guy every decision runs through. Normally, that's a brutal weight for a 19-year-old rookie to carry, but this is where Washington's timing pays off again. Most #1 picks walk into the league overloaded. Top scorer, top creator, future superstar, all on day one. That usually means bad shots, bad efficiency, and a ton of growing pains. Dybantsa's walking into something completely different. Unlike most rebuilding rosters, Washington already has a veteran who can carry real weight. Trae Young is still one of the best playmakers alive. Instead of forcing Dybantsa to create every shot himself, Young can set him up through pick and roll, transition, and defensive chaos. Most rookie scorers never get a runway like that. Same thing on defense. That's the hardest adjustment for any young player. Faster, stronger, smarter opponents. Mistakes get punished hard. Dybantsa projects as an elite scorer, but defense is where he's still got work to do. That's where Anthony Davis changes everything. Even now, Davis is one of the best defensive anchors in the league when healthy. With him protecting the rim, Dybantsa can focus on guarding wings and building his habits instead of getting thrown into the fire. And around them, a young core is already showing signs of life. Alex Sarr took a real leap in year 2. Trey Johnson, Will Riley, and Keyshawn George are all flashing why they were so coveted. For the first time in years, Washington isn't relying on one guy to fix everything. They're betting that veteran stars, rising talent, and a true franchise cornerstone finally add up to something real. If it works, Washington could pull off something almost no rebuilding team manages: a fast jump from the bottom of the league to actually mattering. After finishing 17-65 last season, their 3rd straight year with at least 64 losses, Washington is officially turning the page. For 3 years, the plan demanded patience, and for the first time, that patience might actually pay off. They've got their franchise cornerstone in Dybantsa, a true floor general in Young, one of the league's best defenders in Davis, and a young core that's become one of the most exciting groups in the NBA. None of this guarantees anything, of course. Prospects don't always pan out. Veterans don't always stay healthy. Rebuilds don't always go the way the whiteboard says they will. There's still a long road ahead before anyone in Washington talks about anything serious. But after years of losing with nothing but hope to hold on to, the Wizards finally have a real reason to believe better days are close. That's what makes this version feel different. They haven't arrived, they're nowhere near contender status, but the future finally looks like a real opportunity instead of just a guessing game. So when I say this isn't the same Washington Wizards, I'm not exaggerating. I mean every word of it. 3 years of losing got them a young core. It landed them Dybantsa, and it brought in veterans like Trae Young and Anthony Davis. There's still a long way to go, but for the first time in forever, Washington feels like a team finally headed in the right direction. So what do you think? Can the Wizards make the leap to a play-in team, maybe even sneak into the playoffs? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, drop a like and hit subscribe for more videos like this one.